It's all the shit that happened to me in 2018, filled with homelessness, depression, and alcoholism, and an unfinished erotica. Recap in 3, 2, 1. Hooray! It's 2018. I've been living with my sister and her family in Hawaii for a year and a half now, and Hannah and Steph are back briefly from college for winter break. Steph hung out with us once, then never spoke to any of us ever again. While Hannah was at college, she made a Tinder as a joke and she didn't delete it, so of course Pena and I decided to hijack it as a joke, swiping right on everyone, and being complete sociopaths. Somehow I convinced the guy to give us $10, so we half-jokingly decided to make an elaborate catfish operation to get hella cash. And I continued catfishing for a few months, getting different friends to act as the face and body of my fake catfish persona. It was going well until around February, when one of the guys, Scott Wolchek, figured out who I actually was. First of all, I was hit by a car. That was fun. And right now I have a stalker, which is actually even more fun, and I'm quite excited by it.
See, this is the kind of things that you get off to. That's disgusting. I hate you.
But yeah, also just like selling sperm. Not that anyone wants Asian babies, but
much less your babies.
I know Scott, my stalker, wants them. But yeah,
I think Scott wants a lot more than just your babies.
I think he wants to kill me. Eventually, in April, my sister asked me to leave the house because she was afraid Scott would track me down to her house and hurt her kids or something, which is, yeah, I get that. I understand that. She gave me a couple weeks notice, and since Penya's parents hate me, Airbnb was my only option. April 24th to April 27th, I stayed in my first Airbnb and I met this really cool German dude who was also staying at the same house. On the 27th, I packed up and headed out, and I was homeless and just stayed in random public places until the 29th, when I was able to go to my second Airbnb. I left that Airbnb a few days later, and that night was one of the worst nights of my life. I met up with Pena, who said that he was going to meet this girl from Tinder that he'd been talking to but had never actually met. But it turns out that girl was a complete psychopath, because when I left my stuff at her house, she wouldn't let me go back up into the room to get my stuff back. Because she was just like, no, stay with me. But the entire night she kept trying to shove her foot in my crotch. And I was like, no, I'm not into this. You're gonna rape me, man, if I stay at your house. So I decided to just make a worthy sacrifice and just left my suitcase at her house. She followed me and Pena onto a bus. Pena and I ditched the bus and just ran and booked it to his house, where his parents wouldn't let me stay. So I just stayed up all night trying to, not get killed. That suitcase that I'm still missing had some of my favorite clothes, including this, 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 and this. So May 20th, I moved to Florida with my dad, got a job. I was shit at that for a bit, but then I got better at it, so now I don't have to worry about being fired anymore. I made a couple casual work friends, then I went to Canada, specifically so I could drink legally, because I am an alcoholic. Somehow, $1,200 was spent. I came back to Florida in a couple days, and I hung out with Allie and Colin one night in Ybor, where I smoked crack, thus solidifying our threesome friendship that you always see in young adult TV shows and movies. Somewhere along the line I had sex with a married woman, but we don't do that anymore, and I just don't, moving on.
What you gotta do is you have to have an affair with his wife. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I wouldn't mind.
No, stop.
I would not mind at all.
Respect the sanctity of marriage, TJ.
Respecting the sanctity of marriage, that responsibility falls upon the people in the marriage. If I'm outside the marriage, that's not my bad.
I don't think that's how it works, TJ.
I think it is. I'm not doing anything wrong. Because if someone's gonna cheat, they're going to cheat. So it might as well be with me. In November, I tried to write an erotica for NaNoWriMo, but I failed because I'm terrible when it comes to committing to long-term projects. But oh shit, remember Hannah? Yeah, she visited for Thanksgiving break, and it was weird. Over the summer, she cheated on her boyfriend twice and told me about it, and I was like, yo, it's weird for me because I can't be friends with a cheater, so you either have to tell him that you cheated on him or break up with him. And she was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And I was like, okay, great, we can still be friends because you respected my advice and you understood the stakes that I have set forth, because I explicitly said, I cannot be friends with you unless you do this thing. It's December, well, it's January, and she still hasn't done these things. So, as a result, I'm going to go into 2019 with spite in my heart and revenge on the mind. That's going to be fun. And now finally I'm in Orlando on family vacation, which is just sort of meh. My family is, I like most of my family, it's just my mom cancels everyone out. Oh yeah, New Year's happened. That wasn't a huge deal at all. And now it's 2019. What's my resolution? Smoke less crack.